Hello, hello. Should I keep that? Yeah. Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the
59th episode. Almost 60.
Look at that.
That's insane.
And this episode almost didn't happen.
Almost. It almost didn't. We were supposed to record this yesterday, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, well.
And, it was kind of funny because on the previous episode, you mentioned that we would have to stop saying the name, like the number of the episode, because it'll just be in the title.
Yeah.
Well, I mistitled the last episode.
Oh, well.
I uploaded, there was two, for a while there was two episode 57s up on all the platforms. I got it fixed, but Steven actually reached out to me and he was like, hey, just want to let you know. And I was like, shit. But yes.
That's all right. I've accidentally put the same like details in the show notes.
Oh, really?
For like one episode, because usually what I'll do is I'll copy the show note, like the notes out of or the details out of one of them, and then put it in the other one.
That's what I do too.
And then I'll adjust it from there because I don't, there's no reason to rewrite all this shit.
Yeah. You wouldn't think that it would be that hard to copy and paste some things, but every now and then something slips through the cracks. So, but yes, hello and welcome everybody. I want to start this episode off by recounting a party that I went to last night. So, I'm not much of a partier. I never really have been.
No.
I'm not a huge like social kind of guy.
No.
Like as far as parties go, my thing is I like to if my family's having a party for last Sunday we had Super Bowl / our grandmother's 80th birthday party.
And it should be noted that when we say party, we just mean lots of food.
Yeah, it's just get together and eat.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no like lampshades on heads or anything like that. So this party I went to last night, it was being hosted by a friend of my father-in-law. And this particular friend is very big into like the music scene. And, he's all into like guitars and this, that, and the other. And my father-in-law really wanted me and Mary to go to this party with him because this friend of his was like a like an older friend, from his younger days, and he just wanted us all to meet and hang out.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, we'll go. And when we get there, it's very kind of a unassuming party.
Yeah.
It's there's quite a few folks there. It's probably about 20 people in the house already.
That's a lot of people.
But everybody's just kind of hanging out, chatting.
No.
He had Papacitos had catered, so there was some tacos and stuff to eat. He had these three, like one. I think one of them was probably like a full blood pit bull, but the other two were like pit mixes. And how me and Mary are with dogs, so we're just hanging out with the dogs.
Gravitate towards the dogs.
Yeah. So we're all just kind of hanging out, and I'll bleep that out. My father-in-law.
There you go.
He mentions that they're going to his friend is going to play some music for everybody. They're going to put on like a little show or whatever. And we go down to the basement to see this guy's guitar collection. And we go down there, and he's a single guy in his 50s or whatever.
Yeah.
He's got a total bachelor pad downstairs with like the bar and like this, that, and the other. He's built this stage with like a he's got like a drum set there. No. He's got Marshall amp stacks from wall to wall, floor to ceiling. So I don't know, that's like $200,000 worth of amps.
Wow.
And just lining all the other walls and set up all in front of the amps is like 40 guitars.
No.
Just so many guitars.
Yeah.
And like nice guitars.
Yeah.
And over in the corner, he's got these two like one second, everybody, I'm gonna turn that fan off. Over in the corner, he's got this kind of like these two glass, double doors, and he has like 5 or 6 guitars behind them, like on display. And Bruce had mentioned that there's like a story behind each of the guitars in there, but one of them, though, like one front center one, was a Flying V signed by Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, really?
So
that's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. So, it's just me and Mary and my father-in-law kind of down there for a little while, and then more folks start to kind of filter down there because it's almost showtime, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just observing the individuals who are coming downstairs, and there's a very palpable sense of clinging to youth, and it's probably about the crowd has grown in size. There's probably about 40 people in this basement, and they're all 45 to 50 years old, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
They start playing music or whatever, and they're pretty good. Yeah. They actually are really good. It was kind of like I guess you call it like 70s kind of rock style music.
I probably would have liked that.
Do it.
So I probably would have liked that.
Yeah, you probably would have. But yeah, everybody was very good, very talented. But I'm just not. This isn't my scene.
Right.
Like maybe when I was 17, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, but. I was like, I'm really more so just here because my father-in-law wants us to be here, and I am having a good time. I'm just, but also it's kind of late, and like I'm kind of tired, and I'm like 4 jam band songs and an hour-long car ride away from getting into bed. So a little while later, it's worth noting. It has nothing to do with the story, but like 10 Korean people walk into the basement. The reason I say this is worth noting is because you just don't expect that.
Yeah.
Right? This is a very white function that we're at. And all of a sudden, like, these Korean people walk in. They had a great time. Good for them. Well, there's this this lady who's kind of going around like handing out shots to people. Like she had like a big tray like Jell-O shots, and she's handing them out to folks. And she'll stop. Kind of me and Mary are like sitting dead center of the stage, right?
Yeah.
And she'll stop in front of us quite a few times, and she'll like dance while the guys are playing music. And it's like a white woman kind of dancing, like just like a lot of stomping and pointing, and
stomping and pointing.
Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah. So, like, obviously her inhibitions had been lowered by this point, so she had no problem dancing in front of us. Well, while she's dancing during this one song, this guy comes walking up, and he's this bald guy wearing a blazer and leather pants, and he starts boogieing down.
Yeah.
2 feet in front of me. I'm sitting like this, like in this recliner. He's like right here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like closer to me than you are right now. And he is busting a move all on this woman. And he's doing a lot of like he's like drop down real low and jump up, and he's kicking his legs out, and he's doing the pointing and all this stuff. And he's dancing like Michael Scott. And I'm just sitting here. Me and Mary are sharing the same recliner. We're just like sitting next to each other like this while this is happening directly in front of us. And once that happened, I was like, I really don't fit in here. I am a square peg in a round hole right now. Like, I'm not a huge curmudgeon. I like to hang out with my friends and everything, but they got to be my friends. I need to know these people. And I'm not much of a dancer. But there was a lot of good people watching that night. Yeah. It was very interesting to see those more seasoned individuals kind of let loose.
Well, I am a curmudgeon. I would not have liked that.
But I mean, if you're
I would have enjoyed the music, but as far as like people getting up and dancing, I'd have been like, sit down.
Quit dancing. Oh, man. Yeah, it was, you know, like I had mentioned to Wesley, it was odd to you know, I don't know. It seems like not something that I would do at my current age. Like, even if I had the capacity to do so, you know, I don't even know that many people.
No.
Like, you know, invite all those people over to my house and put on a show for them, and not really celebrating anything in particular. Just kind of, hey, everybody, come look at me. You know, I don't know. I did have a good time, but it was a very interesting night. I was definitely out of my element.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's just probably like the whole Bachelor thing. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that too.
You know, I think a lot of it is probably the person doesn't, you know, they're obviously this person's not married. So I think like the dynamic is not this, like what you go and what you do and who you surround yourself with is not really, it's not the same as somebody who would be married.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely get that. I think that, you know, maybe he had the energy to do that because he wasn't married.
Yeah.
And because he didn't have any kids. At least not.
Yeah, definitely when you have kids, you don't have the energy for that.
Yeah, to put on a rock concert for your friends. It's interesting you say that because, you know, you think about people who are bachelors or whatever, especially, you know, kind of later in life. You know, there's still, you know, the solitude.
Yeah.
Right? Like at the end of the night, like after the party.
You're still alone.
Everybody's gone home. It's just you.
Yeah, just you.
Yeah. And I'm not.
I don't know. Maybe Dancy Finger Pointy Lady stayed
she
with
might
him
have stayed,
night.
yeah. But, I mean, she's not always going to be there.
Yeah, unless Baldy McLeatherpants took her home.
Why did you, like, dude, you got, like, this cul-de-sac white hair and leather pants, man. What are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? What are you going through right now? Are you okay? It reminds me of, I mean, obviously, it isn't to this extreme, but I was watching a video not long ago talking about Bam Margera.
Yeah.
And kind of how his life all kind of went to shit.
Fell apart.
And I didn't know this, but, you know, during Jackass, like the filming of their first Jackass or whatever, he was totally sober. He was straight edge.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't really do drugs or drink alcohol. And it was actually, you know, when he started hanging out with Ryan Dunn a lot was when he started to drink. And, of course, once he started drinking heavily. And
was Ryan the one that died in the car crash?
Yeah, that was him.
Gotcha.
So, you know, not to make excuses or anything like that, but that is, you know, kind of how that all kicked off.
Yeah, it's really strange because it's almost like him and Steve-O, like, swapped.
Right, yeah.
You know?
If Steve-O, look, here's the thing. If Steve-O can get clean,
you can get
anybody
clean.
can get clean.
Anyone can get clean.
But they were talking about, you know, he bought that big, like, castle house in, is it Pennsylvania?
Yeah, somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Somewhere, Pennsylvania, I think, in Westchester, Pennsylvania. That sounds right. He bought that big castle house or whatever, and they basically turned it into like a 24/7 nonstop party. Where
that sounds fucking horrific.
Where people would just kind of, you know, come and go as they pleased and drink and do drugs and play loud music. I mean, it was literally like for years. It was this like ongoing thing. Yeah,
sounds like absolute hell.
When they were filming Viva La Bam, they would have to film around all the vagrants who were there.
Yeah.
They'd have to, like, clear them out of a room and usher everybody in there and record their, you know, reality TV script and then go on to the next thing. But that was, like, you know, that was that kind of life that he wanted to live or whatever.
Sounds horrible. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't want.
Especially now.
Yeah, especially
like as a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Like the age he was then.
Yeah. But, you know, he had a lot of, like, very successful projects, like, you know, in his early days, like, you know, the first CKY movie was just, like, you know, a skating video, which was, you know, hugely popular in the 90s and everything like that. Like, especially out in California, it's a huge skate scene out there. But it was just the drugs and the alcohol that got him.
Yeah.
You know, some people are able to have that vice
Yeah.
and still function at least
yeah.
somewhat, but some people can't, and some people it just swallows them.
No.
Bam was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm under no illusions that everyone in Jackass was not doing drugs and partying all the time, because I'm sure that they were,
Especially in that first movie.
yeah, especially in the first movie.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of melancholic to see them all now, like after like the fourth movie that they came out with,
which was still good.
It was still very good,
but they can't do that shit.
Yeah, but like you're looking at them and you're like, all these people that I watched growing up, like I'm watching them age.
Yeah, starting
like,
to slow down.
Yeah, they're starting to slow down.
It's like when your dog gets old. Don't really have that spark of life in him anymore.
Especially like Johnny, because Johnny's hair is just, he's like gray.
Yeah. It's weird because I couldn't really nail down what was going on in that movie, the fourth movie, because like some scenes his hair was dyed.
Right.
And in other scenes, he just had like this, like, you know, snow white hair.
No. The only thing I can come up with is that he probably had it dyed, and they probably shot the ones where he had it dyed earlier, or maybe he dyed it after, but somehow or another they shot probably some of those scenes in the beginning and some of those scenes towards the end, and they just mixed them in.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not chronological. But, you know, what, Bam eventually, you know, he got married. And MTV wanted to do another show called Bam's Unholy Union.
No.
It was basically Viva La Bam, but now his wife is here.
Yep.
And I don't know if I don't think it was as successful as the first, because you know.
Yeah, that's what I'd want when I get married to someone. My unholy union.
Yeah. Well, I think that Viva La Bam, you know, quickly wore out its welcome.
Yeah.
Because the targeted demographic is like 13 to 14, and that is it.
Yeah.
Like once you're like 14 and a day, you're like, I don't really. Yeah, I'm on to something else now. But I don't think it was that you know, extremely popular. But MTV approached Bam, and they wanted him to have a baby for the show.
Oh, really?
And that really kind of, you know, rubbed him the wrong way. He's like, I'm not going to, you know, the reason for my kid's birth is not going to be for fucking MTV.
Right.
So then he like cut all ties with MTV, and they kind of liquidated everything, and he moved to Estonia.
Really?
Yeah, which is like, you know, pretty close to Russia.
Yeah, you know,
it's like
on
right
the other
above,
side of the world.
Yeah, it's like right above Latvia, above Ukraine, so way over there. And he was over there for a while. I think he got sober.
No.
And then he moved to Madrid or Barcelona to learn how to skate again, because he hadn't been doing any skating for like 10 years.
No.
And if you stop doing something for 10 years, you got to start from day one and relearn all that shit. So, you know, with him, as is the case with a lot of addicts, is they'll always have these moments where you're like, I think he's finally turning around. I think he's this, I think he's that. But then when he got back home,
around the same old crew again.
Yeah, got around the same people in that same place, and it just sunk its claws back into him.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, you see, like, a lot of people that will, like, go into rehab, and it's like they have to sever ties with all those people.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't know you anymore.
Yeah, because they'll enable them.
Right. And it's like a lot of addicts, too, will get into, like a lot of them, interestingly enough, will start doing, like, marathon running.
Really?
Because you can get that endorphin kick from, like, exercise. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're looking for that high, and they have, like, the runner's high. Yeah. So, essentially, like, they've just swapped. They swapped addictions.
They swapped heroin with running.
Right.
It's probably a good swap.
Yeah. Probably a good thing, you know.
Yeah, it's you know, I've never, you know, you could say I'm addicted to nicotine. I probably am, but I have never been addicted to something to the degree that it rules my life.
Right.
You know, or gets in the way of, you know, me being able to perform my duties as, you know, an employee or as a husband or, you know, as a, you know, whatever my social standing would be. So, you know, I can't, you know, I don't have any experience with that. I have a little bit of experience seeing people deal with it, and just kind of being on the receiving end of all the negativity that brings.
Right.
So I kind of I'm very jaded towards that.
Right.
So when I'm approached by somebody who's like, isn't it sad that such and such is addicted to so and so?
No.
I'm like, I mean, on the whole, yeah, but also kind of their fault. Yeah. So, but I'm trying to,
Yeah, if you're looking for empathy with that, I'm not the person for that.
Well, I'm trying to be more understanding about it. I still am very like, that's kind of all on you, big boy.
No.
But like, I've always looked at it this way: is that addiction isn't a disease; it's a consequence.
Right.
And I feel that there's not one big blanket thing you can apply to everybody that's going to help everyone. So it's like some people would maybe respond better to being told that their addiction is their fault.
Right.
Other people obviously respond better to being told that their addiction is this disease that they got out of drinking the water.
Yeah.
Like you drank some water in East Palestine, Ohio, after the train derailment, and all of a sudden you can't stop doing crack. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the train derailment thing. So, one thing I didn't realize was just how bad,
Oh, yeah.
like, the rail infrastructure in this country is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, after that one, there was, 3 other crashes?
There's a bunch of them.
Right.
And then, people started sharing all these videos online, videos and pictures of, rails and stuff like this. And I guess it's out in the more rural areas.
Yeah.
Because, a train track that's coming through town is going to be very well upkept. Yeah. But I think, once you get past, the industrial district and you're just out in, Cowland, they're like, fuck it. The railroad ties are all splintered and warped and, the train tracks are all kind of janky. And it was like, wow, I didn't realize that
it was that bad.
It was that bad. I thought that, if we're taking care of anything, it's
it
got to
would
be the railroad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the thing that made it so, there's a few things that made it so bad, but one of the things that made it really bad was that it crashed near a waterway.
Yeah.
Right?
You're talking about specifically the one in Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it crashed near a waterway, and then if I'm not mistaken, so it was a Norfolk Southern, a bunch of cars, they were carrying
vinyl chloride.
Yeah, and there was 2 other things. There were 3 chemicals that it was carrying, which are all carcinogenic.
Meaning cause cancer.
Yeah, cause cancer. And they do some other pretty horrific shit. But so anyway, the train crashes, for those who don't know what happened, I think it was right around February 2nd or something. It was at the beginning of the month, I believe.
Yeah.
And so the train crashes, and then so there's just spilling out all these chemicals into the groundwater and essentially where this waterway was. So, and
it's down in the water table now. Down
right.
Once it gets down there, it spreads even further.
Right. And so, which I think it was also near the Ohio River, which connects to the Mississippi River and the Tennessee River, and
and the Mississippi River bisects the entire nation.
Yeah, there you go. So if I'm not mistaken, I think what they decided to do in their infinite wisdom was they were going to do a controlled burn of all these chemicals. Well, it exploded and sent all these chemicals up into the fucking atmosphere.
Yay! We're just getting fucking DP'd by fucking cancer chemicals on both ends.
So, and I saw a picture. I don't know if it's real. It could have been photoshopped. I mean, I don't, of a plane that's flying, and there's
over
this.
That
And there's
portal
this,
to hell. There's
this massive black cloud, and so
probably 20 miles in diameter. It's huge.
Right, it's massive. So all of this is it's all fairly horrific things that are happening all at one time.
Yep.
I think the craziest thing is that after a couple days, they told people with in a mile radius of it, they're like, yeah, you go home.
Yeah.
They're like, drink the water.
Yeah.
The water's fine.
Yeah.
And people are like, are you sure?
Yeah, are you sure? Really? Are you sure? They're like, yeah, but before you go, sign this release form.
Yeah. And apparently, Norfolk Southern, from what I've heard, allegedly was like trying to get people to like accept $1,000 check so that they wouldn't sue them.
$1,000.
$1,000.
That's just insulting.
Yeah.
That's like that's the McDonald's pussy melter situation all over again. You know, here's $200. Sorry about your pussy. Here's $1,000. Sorry about your livelihood.
Yeah. So what? Obviously, like if you're running PR or legal for Norfolk Southern, you're going, okay, listen.
Yeah.
They're like a lot of people aren't going to accept these checks.
Yeah.
However, there is going to be some stupid fuck that is going to accept it, and they're going to nullify their right to sue the fuck out of us. So that's money that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah. At least that person can't sue us.
Exactly.
So they're eventually going to get sued by a lot of people.
Right.
They probably know that that's
there's
coming.
going to be a massive lawsuit.
But some, they're trying to shave off as much of that can. They're trying to dole that point as much as they can. And
so apparently, after that, like last week, or maybe it might have been the week before, in East Palestine, they had a town hall meeting.
Yeah.
To like discuss this.
Right. What are we going to do about this apocalypse?
Right. Well, nobody from Norfolk Southern showed up.
Imagine that.
Imagine. And they actually sounded a statement as to why they wouldn't show up. They said because they were fearful for their physical health. Essentially, we're afraid that the people in that town are going to beat the fuck out of us
because
if
we
show
ruined
up.
their town.
Because, we've all doomed them to hell.
Oh my God!
Like, have you seen and we can post on the Facebook page, but there's a map that essentially outlines like all the different waterways and how many of them it's going to affect, and it like reaches out to Montana.
God Almighty! That's the, obviously the loss of human life is pretty bad, but like, it's going to affect like the crops and the livestock and stuff that everybody's going to be affected by this.
Oh yeah, I mean they've already had like I think it's been like over 1,000 farm animals have passed because of this.
That's insanity.
And like so there was also another one called there's really not been any reporting on this as far as like the major news networks. Like a lot of this has been individual reporting and people like sharing it online.
Right.
And there's
it's almost kind of been a total media blackout on it.
And so there's
wonder why. Who's paying for that?
We could sit here and speculate, but but apparently too, there's somebody had taken a video of like near the train crash where they were like, "Oh yeah, the water's fine. You can drink the water. It's not a big deal."
Yeah.
And like so, there's like all these fucking dead fish in this stream, and somebody's like, "Okay, well, there's all these. It just happens to be all these fish died at the same time and around the same time that all these chemicals spilled."
Just a big coincidence.
Yeah, just a big coinky dink.
I've seen videos where people will go out to like these rivers or creeks or whatever, kind of around in and around that area, and they'll disturb the sediment at the bottom of the creek, and all those chemicals rise up to the top of the water and fizz. Look, the rivers shouldn't be carbonated.
Right.
That's not good. I saw one where somebody poured some milk into their coffee, and the coffee started to like boil for a second.
Yeah, they probably made that coffee with tap water, too.
Yeah. So, no, the water is not okay to drink.
The water is not fine.
The air is not okay to breathe.
Yeah.
This is a giant issue. And this is not something we can just sweep under the rug.
No. I mean, they're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
They're going to have to talk about it.
I'm surprised that the president hasn't made a statement about it. Like, it's that big of a deal.
Well, I mean, their transportation czar, whoever it is.
Czar.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't said anything about it either. He did say that people that work in construction were too white.
What?
Yeah. Said there needs to be more diversity in construction while this is happening.
I've worked in construction before. It's mostly Mexicans. I was the minority.
Right.
So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Like, have you ever been to a construction site?
You clearly don't know what you're talking about,
Right.
sir. Maybe the people who are who own construction companies,
No.
but I mean, yeah.
Well, it's like, it's why number one, like, we have bigger fish to fry right now. That massive train derailment that's killing everyone.
That's poisoning the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bigger problem than there's too many white people building houses. Like, oh man, I think it was Kamala Harris who was talking about FEMA aid, which FEMA's a big fucking joke. They never helped anybody.
Well, they certainly didn't help with fucking Katrina, did they?
No, they did not. They helped bring Blackwater mercenaries into Katrina.
Yeah, there you go.
And shoot people. So, I mean, somebody got helped. Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the victims.
They're like, somebody's got to kill these people, and I guess it might as well be us.
Like, I just imagine.
Like, these people ain't going to shoot themselves on their own.
I just imagine they're like, hey, we got all these people in Katrina who are trapped because of the flood and starving and hurt. What do we do about it? And they're like, let's kill them.
You'd be like, wouldn't it be better if they weren't alive?
Yeah, then that person who made the executive decision to do that went and slept in their big bed that night and had a full tummy. Probably fucked a kid on Epstein's Island.
Apparently they're releasing the list.
I heard about that.
No.
I did hear about that. I also saw, it was very quick on Twitter. It was gone in a flash.
No.
But WikiLeaks dropped this huge torrent file of everything that they have.
Ooh.
Stuff that they've released, stuff that they have not released.
Yeah.
And, all just basically everything that they've got.
Really?
They put it in this big file, this big, torrent file, whatever, and it was something like 22 terabytes.
Whoa.
So
that's a lot.
That's big.
That's massive.
And the person that I saw posted the link on Twitter.
Was it Cat Turd?
No, it wasn't Cat Turd. It was someone else, some girl, I don't remember. They had a check mark, so either they paid for it or whatever.
No.
But I clicked the link, and then I backed out of it because I was like, oh, wait a second. I was like, what are the chances that would put me on some kind of a list?
Yeah.
And some goon squad's going to come up to the house and, like, shoot me and replace me with a doppelganger. Yeah. Mary would never even know. The dogs would know. The dogs would be like, hey.
Yeah, something's not right
up.
Here. Yeah. He'd be like very pro-statist. I'm like, I know that's not him.
That's not him. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, we got to have the roads in the public schools. And so it's just knowing that that's out there now.
Right.
We've fallen into this trap several times, right? Where you get really excited, like it's going to happen. Somebody's going to blow the whistle on this, that, or the other, and then nothing ever happens.
And then somebody blows a hole in their head.
Yeah, or the information does get out there, and then nobody cares. But
that seems to be. It seems to be like in, just looking at what I know, what I've seen previously. Is like anytime there's like a big release getting ready to happen like that, it seems like what happens is that whoever I'm going to go a little bit conspiracy theorist here. Whoever's controlling the media.
Put on your tinfoil hats, everybody.
Put on your tinfoil hats, everyone, because we're getting ready to go there. Whoever's like controlling the media just kind of floods the media like a bunch of shit.
Whoever.
Yeah.
I don't know who it might be. Oy vey.
Yeah, that seems to be the play.
Yeah.
It's like let's flood the news cycle.
Yeah.
That way we can wash this out. The information is still out there. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
We can't stop that.
Just turn their attention to something
but
else.
We'll turn their attention to something else. Like, I don't know, the Sam Smith Grammy Devil dance.
Yeah.
The Rihanna halftime nonsense.
Some kind of pop culture thing.
Some
Wait, did something happen with Rihanna at the halftime
I don't
show?
know. Everybody's devil worship.
Oh, okay.
That's everybody's talking
about
that.
No, it's because she did the Illuminati hands.
Oh.
She did this, which is really just Diamond Dallas Page, if we're being honest. Maybe she's a big WCW fan. She's the right age, right? Yeah. She could be.
Yeah, she might be a DDP fan.
Yeah.
Maybe she does DDP yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing, I started laughing about people's reaction to the whole Sam Smith thing.
Yeah.
Because, this is not new information about Sam Smith. Like, he's
No.
a very gay, very anti-establishment. You know,
No.
he's a musician,
Right.
and historically, popular musicians have been very kind of anti-establishment.
No. Well, not only that, but they're looking to get you to talk about
Yeah,
them.
they're just trying to get your attention, and
Right.
he fucking succeeded.
Right. It was like I saw one where he was like wearing some like string BDSM thing or something.
Oh, where he's all trussed up?
Yeah,
I saw that.
Somebody said he looked like a Christmas ham.
He did. He did. It was not a good look.
Did you see the other one where it was he was at some British award show and he was wearing that black
Yeah,
whatever that
whatever
was.
the fuck that
and
thing
somebody
is.
said he looked like a burnt turkey.
Yeah, he did like a big Roblox character or something. One of the funniest fucking things I saw. Of course, he wasn't trying to be funny. He was being very sincere about it. Was he was on the Graham Norton show, which is like a talk show in the UK, and they were talking about, like, you know, if he wasn't a singer, what else would he want to do? And he was like, I've always wanted to be a fisher them.
A what?
A fisher them? So not a fisherman.
Oh.
This is a very gender inclusive term. Fisher them. And it was, you know, everybody on this talk show is very left leaning, right?
Yeah.
But when he said that, it was like a challenge to them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, are you going to let me be, you know, that much more left than you?
Yeah.
Because it was funny because everybody else on the couch was like, a what?
Yeah.
And then he said it, and they were like, "Oh shit, we gotta play along with this." Like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, fisher them, of course."
Jeez Louise. And I think I would take a guess that the women that are fisher them probably don't
So fucking stupid.
probably don't care enough to be called a fisher them.
Yeah, when they're out there on the boat going
know.
over like 20-foot waves and swells.
They're looking like the guy off the fucking frozen fish stick packet.
Oh yeah, Gordon, whatever it is.
Gordon's fisherman. They're probably some pretty manly women,
Yeah.
all right?
It's amazing the kind of things that you spend your time caring about when all you have is time to care about things.
Right. It's like I was telling Allison the other day. I was like, you know, maybe our lives are too good.
You think?
Like, maybe we have too much time to think about things. Maybe it's kind of important that we are running for our lives from saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah. Maybe we have far too little issues.
Yeah. Well, boy, we've gotten one up in East Palestine, Ohio right now.
That's a big one.
Yeah. It's funny how, like, we kind of take, like, real issues like that, and we're like, oh, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. We need to be concerned with pronouns.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the pronouns. but I have cancer because of the trade.
Yeah. Shut up, you bigot.
Yeah. It's called catch them. Oh boy. You know, the whole oh, by the way, this is kind of a segue. So this was the last episode we kind of talked about transgenderism for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's always a hot topic.
One of our listeners reached out to me and was talking to me about it's Rachel.
No.
So shout out to Rachel. Was telling me about I don't remember the kid's name, but there was a set of twins who were born. It's two boys, and one of them. I'm sorry, both of them. They had. There's a term for, like, when your foreskin doesn't allow your penis to, like, go all the way past it.
No.
I forget what the medical term is called, but it causes, like, very painful swelling and all that stuff. And they took the boys to the doctors, like, what do we do about this?
No.
And they're like, well, we'll just have to do a circumcision and just remove the foreskin. Well, they went to do it to one of the boys, but they were using electrocauterization. And this is like in the 60s, I think. So this is very...
Oh, great.
Very, very new.
Yeah.
You know, the thing was probably diesel powered.
Like cranking it
Yeah.
in the fucking corner.
On the Wikipedia page, it says that they burned his penis beyond surgical repair.
No.
So they took their kid in for a circumcision. He's like 6 months old. Took him in for a circumcision. They botched it. And they're like, well, what do we do now? There's a guy named John Money. I don't know if you've ever heard of John Money.
No.
He was like the forefather of like the gender identity kind of all that. This is way back in the 60s. And so they went to, I think they went to him, or he approached him, something, they got in touch somehow or another.
No.
He said, well, he was like, what we should do is a vaginoplasty on your son, raise him as a girl. So they...
Oh, great.
They removed his testicles and turned his penis into a vagina. And they raised him as a girl. But John Money, this researcher, he wanted to observe, whether or not your gender is based on your biology or is it just the way that you're raised.
Right.
And so here he has like this perfect opportunity to conduct this experiment.
No.
Where you
fuck
have
this kid.
Well, you have this one that's a boy,
Right.
a biological boy raised as a boy, and then you have a biological boy raised as a girl. We'll see what happens here. And of course, it's this big fucking fiasco kerfuffle circus.
Right.
And like there were several times where he would force the two twins to perform sex acts on one another.
No.
Or I'm sorry. Well, that's not fair to say perform sex acts, but pantomime sex acts on one another. He would make them dry hump each other and things like that. So,
fucking pedo.
Yeah. So, as the years go on, I think they both lived to be like 30 something like that. The one who was raised as a boy, he ended up, I want to say he overdosed on something and died, and then the other one committed suicide.
Imagine that would be what would happen.
So, it was a fucking tragedy.
Right.
It's just a big fucking tragedy from start to finish. The worst part about it, though, is John Money himself refers to the entire thing as a success.
Yeah, because you don't, like... I would imagine that this person is such a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Is like, number one, fuck these kids. I don't give a fuck about these kids.
Yeah.
Not my kids. It's like, so they're just a fucking science experiment to me.
Yeah. Which he treated them that way.
Right. Well, let's see how bad I can fuck them up.
I think there was a certain point where...
I don't know, that hits really close to home, like, now that I have a kid. Like,
Yeah.
I could not imagine letting, like, number one, like, where are the parents in all this?
Yeah, well, from what I remember, the parents are put in a weird spot right out of the get-go.
Yeah, well, I'm not
Because
going to let my two children perform the pantomime sex acts on one another.
I don't think they knew that was happening. But, it's kind of on the parents for letting these two kids be around this person that they don't know alone. So it's kind of on you a little bit.
Right.
But there was a certain point during his life where the parents told him what was going on. Because he wanted to know, like, why do I feel like I'm not a girl?
Right. What's going on here?
Yeah. And they came clean and they told him what happened. And then he immediately was like, well, I want to try and live my life as a man then.
Right.
So he ended up having like a double hysterectomy. That was another thing. They gave him estrogen. He ended up growing tits. So he had a not a hysterectomy. What do you call it? Mammarectomy?
Tit removal.
Tit removal. They had his tits removed. So they're just fucking carving this kid up his whole life. Like I said, the whole thing's a fucking fiasco. If you want to read about it, there's a whole Wikipedia page on it. Just Google. Well, be careful about what you Google. I want to say it's David Weiss. Weiss, something like that.
No.
Or you can Google boy without a penis or boy born without a penis.
Well, there you go.
And just wind up on a list.
Yeah, I mean, it's really wild what people are like willing to put their kids through.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
just irreversible damage.
Part of me feels really bad for the parents because they lost both their kids. And, you think they initially went to the doctor to get help for their kids.
Right.
So our sons can't urinate properly.
Right.
What do we do here? And the other kid, his condition cleared up or whatever.
Right.
So it may have been that if they left this one kid alone, his was cleared up too.
Right.
There's no way of knowing now.
Right.
And it was like, as far as they knew, they put their kids in the care of competent healthcare professionals, and they burned his cock off.
No.
So now that's the facts, right? Those are that's the reality.
But I'm certainly
that you
not
live
going to let
with.
fucking Dr. Kevorkian over here chop his fucking the rest of his whatever he's got left down there and then invert it into a vagina.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
They
It's like if somebody came to me like that, I'd be like, first of all, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I'm going to kill you if you don't get out of my face right now.
Right.
You're going to stomp your head in like a pumpkin. They had mentioned in the Wikipedia page, it mentions that at the time they already had a lot of experience with doing vaginoplasty, which is like, forming a vagina on a person, but not, like phalloplasty was not a thing. Like it just wasn't even a thing. And we had mentioned a couple of episodes ago that, they can put a penis on a person now.
No.
Like you just like order a penis, like I want it this long and that thick, and like I want a big crazy vein on the top of it, and just put that on me.
It was like, you can go like on the Ford website and design your truck.
You're like, ooh, it's only 30,000 MSRP. That's not bad. And then you get to the end of it, you're like $80,000.
Be like, well, you wanted the Bluetooth option. What do you?
Yeah, you wanted the self-driving truck with the Bluetooth option and like the ass massaging seats. But yeah, so I was initially going to talk about the whole pronoun thing and why that's such a big part of like our cultural zeitgeist right now. And to me, I think that a lot of people are having a hard time figuring out who they are. And I think that they have a hard time feeling like they belong to anything. So it's a lot of people who are not necessarily social outcasts, but they don't have anything that they can firmly attach themselves to. Like, it doesn't, anything like a religion or, whatever the thing might be. So this whole pronoun movement, I think it's easy.
It's the barrier for entry is extremely low. It's like all you have to say is like, these are my pronouns.
What do you want to be referred to as?
Right.
Then all of a sudden you're attached to this thing. It's like you don't even have to get up out of your chair to be a part of this.
Right.
You can just go on Twitter, put it in your bio, and bam, there you go, you're one of us. And people, have really claimed that as their identity. My whole identity, who I am, is how I am referred to.
Right.
That's all that I have.
That's all. That's everything.
That's everything. So when that is challenged, they feel that you are challenging their entire existence.
Right.
That's why it's such a big issue.
No. It's like, maybe you should like get a hobby.
Go outside for a second.
Yeah.
I mean,
why don't you go touch grass?
Go touch grass, kid. So, I mean, as ridiculous as I think the whole thing is, you shouldn't be, the golden rule, of course, is to be nice to people.
Treat others the way you'd like to be treated.
Don't be mean to or hateful or hurtful to anyone. But, a lot of times people will, this is kind of a newer thing. It's kind of a weird thing where we're questioning this, boy and girl thing that we've known our whole.
Well, it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
So people are naturally going to have questions about this and push against this. And I feel that if you are a part of this thing, you can't come back at them with any kind of vitriol and any kind of like, you can't have your claws out when people start questioning this brand new thing that you're doing.
Right.
People got to, you got to ease people into this kind of stuff.
Right.
Especially you're trying to turn, hundreds of thousands of years of human biology up on its head.
Well, I think I really don't care like what kind of people want to be called. It's whatever. Like I've always stated that my issue is when you start putting it on the kids. Like when you start like performing irreversible surgeries and giving kids like hormone blockers and that kind of stuff. Like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because a child, regardless of whatever it is that they're currently saying right now, cannot consent. They cannot.
Yeah, absolutely. If this is going to be a really weird thing to say out loud, but if a kid came up to you and propositioned you for sex, and they explicitly stated that they consent to it, that's not going to hold over in court.
No.
Because the kid can't consent to it.
Yeah, you are a child.
They're just saying shit. They're just saying
they're
words.
saying words.
They don't understand the weight and gravity of the things that they're
Right.
saying, or even their actions,
Right.
because they're kids.
They are children.
So if they can't consent to that, how on earth could they consent to something as extreme as completely changing
Right.
their gender?
It's like they don't even know what they want for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
It's like you are telling me that somebody that wants Tyson Dino Nuggies every night for dinner can well, I mean, there's a lot of adults that want that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you can't.
No, I totally get it.
They're children.
Yeah. We we talked about that a good bit on the last episode, but I feel that it bears repeating that, this is a strange thing. It is a strange thing. It's a new thing. It's a new thing as far as like being on the forefront of everybody's like social apparatuses and all
Right.
that. So, if you are a part of this, or if you sympathize with a part of this, or you call yourself an ally, whatever the thing is, you have to understand that people got to work through all this new information.
Right.
And of course, there are people out there who are hateful. There was a young girl, a transgender girl in the UK recently, who was lured out into the woods and stabbed to death.
Yeah, that's not fucking okay.
For being transgender. And there's no reality in
Where
which
that's okay.
that's an acceptable
Nope.
thing to do. I don't care if she identified as a fucking pig.
No.
Or a wolf or a goldfish. It
Right.
doesn't fucking matter. You don't stab somebody to death. You
No.
don't do that.
No, then they should certainly find the people that fucking did that.
Yeah. And throw them away forever.
Fucking throw them in jail forever. You never get out. I hope you enjoy all that unwanted man love.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're about to get.
So I'm not downplaying the severity of those kinds of situations. That is happening. I'm not trying to say that it's not happening, but it is not analogous to me questioning whether
Right.
or not we should be allowing children
Right.
to make these decisions.
Right. Me questioning the
Yeah.
reason why you are doing what you are doing is not bringing physical harm upon you.
And another thing to consider is if you are getting that defensive at somebody asking you a question, you need to look at why you feel that way.
Right.
You need to really take an inventory of why it is you feel so insecure about that thing that even somebody asking a simple question about it
Right.
has you on the back foot.
Well, it's like I said, it's a lot of it is too is a lot of people get like kind of drug into like this online culture.
Yeah.
Where like a lot of this gets swirled and circulated around and everything, and everybody kind of gets whipped up into a frenzy about it. Where like a lot of people that either consider themselves transgender or people that consider themselves an ally to the transgender movement, like a lot of those people are very, like you said, vitriolic.
Yeah.
Like it's a very toxic.
You can't converse with them.
No.
There's no conversation to be had.
Right.
Because they don't want to have a conversation.
Right.
They want you to accept their reality as they posit it to you and don't question it at all.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that.
No.
Like I'm not going to just accept something at face value as it's given to me.
Right.
Me personally, there's people who don't do that, but I question everything that's presented to me.
Right. Well, plus that, and also when you tell me I have to do something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
No.
No. You don't understand how this is going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
The moment you tell me that I have to do something, I'm doing the exact opposite of that, in spite of you.
Yeah.
With the whole pronoun thing and everything, it's the way I've looked at it is, if you are a biological male, and you live your life as a female, and you go as far as to have your injections and your surgeries and whatever it is you feel you have to do in order to live the life that affirms how you feel.
Right.
Is I will. I'll respect your decision to do that. I will refer to you whatever name or pronoun you want, but you cannot force me to believe
That you are a
that
biological.
you are a female.
Right.
I know in my heart and in my brain that you're a biological male
Right.
who had surgery and hormone injections. I believe that.
Right.
But I'm not going to be hateful or rude to you about
Exactly. If you ask my opinion, I'll tell you.
that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I have no problem with people that go through all the steps to, especially when you're an adult and you go through all the steps,
and you make the conscious decision
to
yourself.
make the conscious decision to do these things, like that's on you. Like, whatever you want to do, whatever it's going to make you happy, live your life.
Yeah.
I'm very libertarian in that fashion. However you want to do it, I honestly don't care. As long as what you are doing does not negatively impact or hurt anyone else, then I have no problem with it. However, there are a lot of people that have jumped onto this social, whatever this is that we have going on, that are using it for nefarious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So to not also identify that is also an issue, because there are people there's certain people that look at this movement and they say, you can't question. Mm-hmm. So that means that I can slip right in there.
Yeah.
And you can't question me, right?
Because if you question me, you have to question the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. There's any time that there's a movement, or anything that this is like an idea that people can rally behind, especially if they're using it as a way to feel morally superior.
Right.
There's always going to be people, these fucking psychopaths, who can use it to their advantage and use it to take advantage of people. There was, the one that I always point back to is Kevin Spacey. When he got in trouble for being a child molester, his defense was, "I'm gay."
Yeah. That has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, and what the crazy thing is, after he said that, it all went away.
Like, okay, so there can't be any horrific gay people. Gotcha.
Yeah, like all gay people are. Those two dads in Atlanta who pimped their children out to all those gay men and raped their children. You can't question that. And that's another thing that you need to understand, is just because somebody is questioning a portion of your identity, or somebody who is adjacent to you, doesn't mean that they're questioning you.
Right.
This is all very individualistic.
Right. It's like, well, you know what? There's a lot of straight white men that are fucking horrific people.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me one.
No.
That doesn't mean because I identify with certain things that they are, straight and white, that makes me the exact same thing that they are.
They just, it's that age-old problem of just generalizing everything and painting everything with a broad brush, because it makes it easier to
right. Well, when we used to live in tribes, your ape brain goes, hey, we don't like things that aren't like us. Yeah. So if it's not like us, then we need to kill it.
Yeah. Like imagine you have a thing that looks like a bear. It's not a bear. It just looks like a bear, but it's a very nice animal. It helps people. It wants to be helpful. It wants to cuddle and hug and love. No. And if you saw your dad get eaten alive by a bear, if it ate him balls first, and you saw this other thing over here that looks like him, you're not going to go up to it or even allow it to be around you.
No,
you're not. It doesn't matter how nice that thing is. That's a very simplistic way to put it, but when you get to the crux of the whole issue, it's very analogous to what we are dealing with.
Well, it requires people to have a more nuanced way of thinking about things. If we know anything about people, as if they're not going to do that.
They want to think very simplistically,
right? Because
it's easier,
right? Sort of like everybody with the Hogwarts game.
I was just about to bring that up, dude. People are so fucking mad about the Harry Potter game.
Yeah, about a fucking wizard game.
Well, so J.K. Rowling, who was the champion of the LGBT community, 10 years ago.
LGB community.
Oh, there's the T out of there?
Yeah.
Okay, we took the T out of there. Okay,
well, she does not like the T's.
I see that they referred to her as a TERF.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
Trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Okay.
I guess she's a feminist that doesn't like the T's.
How many of these fucking word salads am I going to have to understand? This is ridiculous. Anyway. So she I guess she is she is an ally to the homosexuals, but she has an issue with transgender people.
Well, I think her argument is that by including the trans women, that you are not doing biological women a service, because it it is in it's in conflict with the fact that they are not real women.
Yeah.
And that women, the feminist movement is for women only, because women throughout history have had a harder time of it than men have.
Yeah. That's a fact.
That is a fact.
Yeah. That was a fact 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now. So
yeah, they don't like her.
So she was ostracized by the transgender community, and it caused a huge rift between them and the LGB side of it, right? Because you have the LGB people who are still fans of J.K. Rowling, and then the transgender people are like, well, hey, she doesn't like us. Why do you like her?
Right.
So there's this huge divide between them. Well, this Hogwarts game comes out, and these people have been, quote unquote, boycotting this slacktivist boycott, whatever the fuck that even means anymore. Don't buy this game.
No, we're gonna yell at you.
We're gonna be mean to you on the internet if you buy this game.
Yeah.
Ooh. And it's, when there's an old saying, if you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
No.
It's 100% applicable to this.
No.
Because all the people who are, pissing their pampers over this Hogwarts game, you're making yourself look like a fucking fool.
No.
I'm sorry, but you are.
No.
And you're bringing nobody to your side.
No.
When you're over there ranting and raving like a lunatic, nobody's coming like, I'll go see what they're all about. Mosey on over here and be a part of this.
And most of these people that are buying this game, they just want to play the game. It's like, and just because it's like,
it's just people who like Harry Potter.
I'm sure that I have consumed media, and I have consumed games, and I've consumed books that were created by people that have opinions that I don't agree with.
Yeah, or might be horrendous.
Or they're horrendous people.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I used to watch Rick and Morty. Well, guess what?
Justin Roiland is a pedophile wife beater.
There you go. Does that mean that I agree with all of that? I'm like, yay, he does horrible things.
Yeah, and that's why I watch the show. It has nothing to do with the fact that I enjoy the content.
Right.
I'm directly linked to all his heinous activities.
Right.
The whole separating the art from the artist conversation.
Right.
I mean, if Hitler. And I hate to bring up Hitler because he's always the easy one to go to, right? But say you go to a restaurant, all right, called Das Gut, and you order a schnitzel and like a little chocolate cake, and it's the best food you have ever eaten in your entire life.
No.
And you say to the waiter, Garçon, I enjoyed this food so greatly that I would love to speak to the chef. And then Hitler walks out.
No.
And you're like, whoa. Hitler's standing at my table right now, shaking my hand. You want to kind of be like, hey guys, I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
I will say that this food was fantastic. It's not all of a sudden retroactively repulsive.
Right.
Just because the Hitler made it.
Right.
And that's the same thing here. It's like, if you don't agree with how J.K. Rowling feels or what her opinions are, that doesn't automatically mean that the game or the content, whatever the property is, is bad.
Right.
It's still
the IP is not.
The IP is not bad.
Right.
The person who made it, you don't agree with it. That doesn't make this bad.
Now, if the IP went retroactive and they just started killing a bunch of transgender people, well, then that's an issue, right? But that's not what Harry Potter is about.
Yeah, if the Hogwarts game came out and it was like Doom Eternal, where you're like running through San Francisco like ripping the heads off of transgender people, like, okay, that's a little hateful,
right?
I can see that being an issue.
Well, not only that, but she didn't create the storyline for this. Like, this was all created by storyboard. She was created by other authors.
Yeah,
you got to take into consideration like the devs that worked on the game.
It's really owned by Warner Bros. More than anything,
right?
So I mean, it was Warner Bros. They
just took the IP and they slapped it on the game. That's essentially all they did. And from what I understand, it's a fantastic game. Like it has had glowing reviews.
I've heard that it's good. I've heard that it's, people have been wanting a Harry Potter themed RPG for ever since Harry Potter's been a thing.
Right.
And now that they finally have one, and people have really, really enjoyed it. So I think that your priorities are laid bare when you start acting that way.
Right.
It very quickly, comes to light that what you really want to do more than anything is you want to ruin something for people.
Right.
You just wanted to ruin this for you. Don't really give a shit because, you aren't taking any steps, any active steps to help your community. You are only being a piece of shit towards people who aren't a part of it.
Right. And I don't think that people that are actively doing this are actively part of that community. I think they're just people that like
trolls.
acting like fucking shit online.
Yeah, it's like, of course there's going to be some people who are going to act that way. It doesn't matter what it is.
Especially like if I was a large streamer and people enjoyed watching me play video games for some fucking reason, I'd just play the fucking game.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? You don't like it? You don't have to fucking be here.
Yeah.
You go do something else. Go fucking play with yourself for all I fucking care.
If you want to stay here and make my viewer count go up, you're welcome to do that
You're welcome
too.
to do that. Guess what? I'm not looking at chat. Fuck you.
Yeah. Chat's off.
Yeah, chat's off. Playing the game.
Every part of the time.
Yep. And I wouldn't be talking to the camera. I'd just be sitting there playing the game. That'd be all I'd fucking do.
Oh my God, that reminds me. Do you remember a couple episodes ago I was talking about that one streamer who said that her husband was abusive and was forcing her to be a streamer, and she.
Oh yeah.
So her name is Amaranth. Mm-hmm. And I saw I saw a clip of where she was on a podcast and she was talking to somebody. They were asking her about her financial details and everything.
No.
And she had mentioned that she makes $100,000 a month from Twitch. And they said, okay, well, what about your OnlyFans? What do those numbers look like? She makes $1.5 million a month. A month. This is not a year. This is a month for doing content on OnlyFans. And from what I understand, the things that she does on there is not even like particularly hardcore stuff. Like she's, I don't even think she goes fully nude. She'll I don't know, lick a dildo or something, but $1.5 million?
Jeez Louise.
People are giving her that much money a month. Dude, porn is free.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand spending your money like that. I don't get it.
You know what I think it is?
Well, was it Barnum and Bailey said, "A fool and his money are soon departed"?
Soon departed, yeah. I think that what it is I don't know enough about her to really say which came first, the chicken or the egg here.
Yeah.
But I think that the Twitch thing started first.
Yeah.
And she garnered a large audience because she wore skimpy clothing and she was attractive or whatever. And then she started the OnlyFans. Yeah. And I'm sure that there was a huge demand for that.
Yeah.
So now it's probably like a Twitch to OnlyFans pipeline.
Right.
Like you get your viewers on Twitch and you funnel them in here. Into your OnlyFans. Like, hey, I'm sitting here in my bikini, but if you'd like to see me in a smaller bikini, you can see that on my OnlyFans. No disrespect to her hustle. I mean, she's just playing the game. She's playing the game and she's fucking winning.
Play the fucking cards you're dealt.
Yeah. But me personally, I'm not going to spend money on that.
No. I
got to feed my family.
I mean, fuck, maybe it's different if you're the fucking single dude and
yeah, that's true.
You live in mom and dad's basement and you really don't have any bills.
That's true. I know a lot of people that watch streamers, especially if you've watched the same streamer for a very, very long time. People almost kind of feel like they have a personal relationship with this person. No. They're spending a lot of time, quote unquote, talking to this person. You shoot them a message with $5 attached to it and they read it out. You're like, they acknowledge me. And then, when you're probably, if you're a young man, you're probably very attracted to this girl, and you feel that you have some sort of a relationship with her, and then the idea, the prospect of seeing her in the nude is probably more tantalizing than just looking up any old porn star on the internet. So that's probably where some of that comes from.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine too, and I'm not a psychologist, so I don't really know how it impacts people. But I would imagine that it seems very messy. Mm-hmm. The whole prospect of, obviously, like you said, if we're taking this person into consideration, you shoot them like $5 so that they can read your comment in chat.
Yeah.
That's an odd thing to do anyway. So, like, and then you're like, oh, well, you're looking for that dopamine hit again.
Yeah.
So you send them another $5, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually, like, you've spent within a month probably $300 or $400 just so they'll read your comments in chat.
And you feel like noticed by this person.
Right, and you feel noticed by this person. It's like, and obviously, like, one of the reasons why you're probably following this person is because they're an attractive person.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Right.
Let's not pretend like you're like, oh, she looks like she might have good thoughts and
Right.
things. Like, you just saw her boobs.
Right. So, and then this person gets enough people together that they're sending her direct messages like probably some pretty horrific things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I imagine there's a whole bunch of that.
There's probably a whole bunch of that.
Yeah.
So, and then this person goes, oh, well, there's a community here that would like to see me do horrific things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start an OnlyFans account where I can go and do this.
Yeah.
Because I can separate these two. And obviously, if I were to do them here, I would get banned. I can't do it here. So I'll do it over here where I can.
Yeah, but I can at least tell them on this one platform, hey, over here I'm doing this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then, you get drug into that.
Right.
And then you're paying for content over there. It's like, and then your brain is probably thinking you're in an active relationship with this person, but it's just you looking at a fucking screen.
Yeah. You're just looking at pixels.
Right.
This, there was this post the other day on Twitter that was kind of like the data on like the quote unquote services that these OnlyFans content creators provide. And one of the most popular things that, that people will do on there is they will charge like per message or by the hour to pretend to be your girlfriend. And that is extremely unhealthy. That is extremely unhealthy for everybody involved. Especially the person who is
Paying for the service.
Patronizing the service, right?
Yeah.
Is I feel because it's number one, it's very sexually charged.
Right.
And that's not the entirety of what a relationship is.
Right.
It's a part of what a relationship is, not the whole thing.
Right.
So even if, you are doing this, this online thing, you're pretending to be boyfriend and girlfriend with this girl that's charging you $20 an hour to do so.
Right.
You are doing yourself a disservice because I would imagine that you're going to carry over that kind of mentality into your real world relationships. When you do find a girl,
Right.
If you find a girl, you're probably some fucking troglodyte freak basement dweller doing this kind of shit. But if you do find a girl, you're going to come at her very sexually charged. And she's going to be like, oh, whoa, hey, whoa.
What is this?
You don't even know my name, dude.
Right.
Like, calm down.
Well,
I just don't think I don't think that's helping anyone.
No, it's not.
It's helping her bank account.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's just a lot of, especially too, like when you're younger, like I cannot imagine being 15, 16 years old and like your hormones are telling you have to fuck everything.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're here to do. So
catch
fucking
something and fuck
snap to it. Let's do it. And then like having these websites, like I don't know how I would have handled that as a teenager.
Yeah. Just basically online prostitution.
Yeah, it's online prostitution.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine because everybody has access to them.
Yeah.
You can go there. It's not, you're not going to a back alleyway somewhere.
Yeah. You can do it on your phone.
Yeah.
I think that, it's not going to go anywhere. There's way too much money being made here. I think the top, one of the top earners is, I looked it up a long time ago. It's a girl named Black China. I think she's like a rapper or something like that.
No.
But she has an OnlyFans, and I want to say that when I looked at it, she was making something like $5 million a year. It might even be more than that.
No.
Not a year. I'm sorry, a month.
Jesus.
And like I said, it might be more than that. So that's a lot of revenue coming in, right? And I would imagine that OnlyFans themselves, they probably take a cut.
Oh yeah.
Of whatever you get, and also that stuff is reported to the IRS. So Uncle Sam's getting his piece of your sexy bra money too.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be a thing. It's like with prostitutes. There's always going to be prostitutes. So now it's just another thing that parents have to teach their kids about.
Right.
It's another thing that you have got to tell them, like, look, I can't stop you from going on to one of these websites and interacting with this kind of stuff. And it's like, but if you are going to do it, at least don't,
don't conflate this with what an actual relationship
with what a
is.
relationship is, yeah. And definitely don't fucking financially damage yourself.
No.
Like, people will go into debt for this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stories of people, like, selling their house and their car and being homeless just so they can fucking, send money to this content creator who doesn't even really know that you exist.
Right. Well, yeah, it would be extremely like if, me and Allison have another kid and it's a boy. Like and by the time he would be a teenager, I mean, there's no telling. There's no fucking telling.
What's going to be out there.
What's going to be out there.
Yeah, what the next OnlyFans type of thing is.
I couldn't, like, at 14 years old, if you'd have told me about, like, all the, not just, like, the porn stuff, but just, like, what, like, there's going to be a phone you can have in your pocket, and it's got the internet on it, and all, and you, like, at the time it's MySpace, but that's not going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
like, and then you can do all these things on this fucking phone that's
at any time.
No
matter where you are.
Yeah. Like, that would have blown my fucking mind.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, like, the augmented reality or the virtual reality stuff that's going to be available to my kids once they're teenagers. It's like, and that's the hard thing, like, as a parent, is trying to keep up with it.
Yeah.
It's like, because when I see, like, new stuff come out, I'm like, how are fucking freaks going to use this
against my kids?
Against my fucking kids.
Well, you have to kind of foresee and almost kind of guess the dangers of these things.
Right.
And you have to be very, very proactive about it. Like, I don't even have a kid, but I'm looking at all the shit that's coming out, and, like, we'll likely have, soon a child of my own, and I'm going to have to look at all the stuff that's coming out, keep an eye on everything. The thing that concerns me most is everything going on with AI.
Yes.
Because that's getting way out of hand.
Yeah. Because, I mean, once that hits, I can't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah, that's going to get out of everybody's hands real fast. But it's fucking terrifying. Like, I remember the first, like, pornographic thing I ever saw was a Girls Gone Wild DVD.
Like the commercials on the TV.
No, like the DVD. Like, a friend of mine in high school had one. And he was like, dude, I got this Girls Gone Wild DVD.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll let you borrow it. And I was like, please. I guess technically the first quote-unquote pornographic thing I ever saw was when I went to Playboy.com.
Yeah, and saw the boobies.
On the family computer. But the first thing I saw that was like, a moving image, a motion picture, it was that. And so, like, one day at school, he handed it to me like a drug deal. It was like in this black DVD case with no cover on it. And I took it home, and I put it in my Xbox 360. Yeah. And I just sat there in awe of it. I was just like, oh my God. And I remember even at that age, I had this feeling of, not so much that I shouldn't be looking at this, but I'm not prepared for this.
Right.
Like, I am not prepared for the level of, this is adult sexual activity.
Right.
I'm like 13. So as far as, like, the sexual activity that, is in my range is like, French kissing.
Right.
It's what I called it at the time, was French kissing.
Yeah, Frenching somebody.
Yeah, I'm looking at these girls whack each other in the face with their tits. And I'm like, it's overstimulating. You know what I mean? And I remember, I remember looking at it and just kind of being like, I need to stop looking at this.
Right.
Because, number one, like, this is way more than I bargained for.
No.
And I feel wrong looking at this.
I was not prepared for this.
Yeah. There was part of me that even felt bad for the girls. I was like, you don't have to do this. Like, come on. But, back then, it wasn't as easily accessible.
Right.
So, you
had to make an effort.
You had to make a concerted effort to get a hold of this material.
Yeah.
And the only way you get jaded to that kind of thing is if you're exposed to it constantly. You're constantly exposed to this kind of thing. And nowadays, with porn being as readily available as it is on your phone at any time that you want,
right.
These 13, 14-year-old kids, whenever they happen to get a smartphone, maybe even younger than that,
right.
are not, they're going to be jaded toward this very sexual content
right.
very, very early on.
Right. Well, and I think, too, like, as a parent, like, it's probably important for you to have that particular conversation with your kids and be like, look, you're going to have access. I can't stop you from. I can put filters and stuff on that on your phone where you can't. But I can't stop you from seeing everything.
Eventually, you're going to get around it.
And it's like even if I do stop you while you're in my house, once you leave, I have no control.
Yeah, once you get on a cell service, outside some cell tower 2 blocks away.
It's like I can't control it at that point. So I would imagine as a parent, it's probably pertinent to have the conversation with your children and be like, there's gonna come a time when you're going to see this material and there's nothing I can do to stop it from happening.
Yeah.
So, like, I need to try to explain to you a little bit, like, why it's probably not healthy.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, you're gonna have to make the decision for yourself.
Like, even if you're not going to hear what I have to say,
right?
Like, I have to, as your parent, I have to at least come to you,
right,
and offer this advice,
right?
That the things that you're going to see on these websites or on these whatever it is are not indicative of what a real relationship is, what a real sexual relationship is with a person, because there's a reason that the word actress comes after porn.
Yeah,
because they're acting.
Yeah.
And you can't fake the things that they're doing. They are doing that.
Right.
But a lot of what they're doing is scripted. And it's edited. It's presented to you in this way where everybody is like these perfectly creamy people, and they
creamy.
Yeah, they have no like blemishes, and there's like there's no like weird sounds, and you can't smell the room that they're in. So you're gonna have this. You're gonna go into, if you're exposed to this first. If you have a fucking porn addiction before you even have your first kiss, you're gonna go into this thing wildly unequipped to handle the reality of what it is.
Right.
And it's not even just sex. It's not even just porn. It's political ideology.
Right.
That shit, like when I was growing up as a kid, I'm talking like probably anywhere from the ages of 10 to 15. All my political knowledge was hearsay from adults.
Right.
And all I ever really understood was like, okay, that's kind of outside my wheelhouse. I'm not going to put any effort towards trying to understand that stuff right now. We're worried about being 15.
Right.
But with social media and Reddit, Twitter, all these things where these teenagers are, where even younger than that, political ideology is such an enormous part of being being included in any kind of a group. So it's very easy to have your identity be your politics,
right?
And that is not a healthy thing to do, because you can't just be one thing.
Right.
You aren't one thing. Nobody is one thing.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there who think that they are one thing.
No, but you're not.
And they act like one thing, but you're not.
Right.
You're more than that.
You're multiple things all at one time.
You're just not putting all your energy. You're putting more energy into
You have multiple hats that you wear throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not like this monolith of just one thing.
One ideology.
One ideology.
What an enormously boring person you would be if that was the case.
No. Somebody like try to talk to me like, oh, what did you have for lunch today? And you'd be like,
what did the kids in Flint, Michigan have for lunch today?
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm just trying to talk to you, dude. Like
God, you're so fucking insufferable.
Such a fucking doubter. So before we run out of time today, we do have another correction to read.
Look at that.
This comes from Steven. So we talked about the Motley Crue thing. By the way, real quick, sorry there was no Super Crins Thursday post this week. It totally got away from me. I didn't even really think about it till this morning.
Well, there you go. So we'll double up next week.
Yeah. So this comes from Steven. This is in reference to the Motley Crue thing. So it wasn't Slash that was playing with Motley Crue. It was Mick Mars. He was just wearing a top hat.
Oh.
And I think that Steven said that. Let me see if I can find the message. Oh crap! Let me see if I can find the message. He said that he was wearing the top hat to appear taller when his spinal arthritis made him shrink.
Really?
Which is really interesting. I knew that he had some kind of like back problems. They touched on that in that documentary.
Yeah.
Mockumentary. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
They touched on that a little bit. So there you go. Here's the soundbite.
We're sorry.
I'm sorry. But I mean, how many guitar players wear top hats?
Slash.
Slash, and apparently Mick Mars now.
I think he'd probably been better served to wear like inserts in his shoes.
Yeah, or something other than a top hat.
Yeah, top hat. What an odd.
Yeah, Abe Lincoln. What are we doing here?
He'd probably been better off like wearing one of those hats with like the propeller on the top.
It's funny that you mentioned that because. Okay, so I want to try and blow through this real quick because we're running out of time. But you remember like when the OK symbol was like a white power thing?
No.
It was never that.
No.
That started on 4chan because they said, hey, what if we can convince the mainstream media that this means white power?
You would be amazed at how many times 4chan has done something like that.
And they did it. They completely did it.
Pulled it off.
And they pulled it off. Now they're trying to make the spinny propeller hat thing a symbol of white power. So like, can we convince them that this hat means white power? They did the same thing with milk.
Really?
Yeah, drinking milk is white power now. AOC said that.
Jesus.
So
maybe we just need to shut down the internet. Maybe we just need to shut it down.
I feel like these people are being presented like, hey, by the way, here's an update. This new thing, this is white power. And then the person looks down and they go, okay, got it. Propeller hats, milk, and the OK symbol mean white power.
I couldn't imagine like sitting in my office in D.C. and somebody coming in and going, Mr. Wright, we just received news.
Senator Wright?
Yeah, Senator Wright. We just received news that the little propeller hat, that means white power. I'm like, get the fuck out of my office.
Get out of my fucking office.
Get out of my fucking office. And be calling my secretary and be like, fire his ass. Like, don't bring me any bullshit like that again.
Yeah. And then you go to like into that big hall or whatever, and like all like the Republicans are wearing propeller hats, and you're like, oh. Well, because it works both ways, right? Because you have people who are like white supremacists,
right?
And they're like, oh,
they'll latch onto it,
and then all of a sudden, it really does become a white power thing. It's just like you believing that it is made it so.
No. Jeez Louise.
Have you ever seen that video where AOC is walking up the steps like to go into the whatever Congress building is, and that guy's filming her, and he's going like, "Ooh, look at that big Latina booty," or he's saying something like that, and then like a little bit later, she goes online and she's complaining. She's made a video of her complaining about like, he kept talking about my booty, and it's like, fucking grow up, and both of you, please.
Jesus, like this is what politics has become. Dear God, like no wonder the world's fucking gone to hell in a handbasket. Propeller
hats and giant asses. Don't worry about the train derailment or the UFOs, people. Just drink your milk, be a racist. Play your Harry Potter game and hate trans people. Oh, goodness. Well, I think that's about all we got time for today. So once again, as always, thank you so much, everybody, for continuing to listening. We had mentioned earlier in the episode, this is episode 59, so we're coming up on episode 60. I'm not going to promise that we're going to do anything special because even if we want to,
probably won't.
It probably won't happen. Right. Because, like I said, we know
this is what this podcast is as of right now.
We get to allocate an hour and a half to this thing a week, and it's very difficult to kind of jam that in with the rest of our lives. But we've had a good streak here recently. I think we've done something like 20 episodes without missing an upload. So if you guys are enjoying the podcast, make sure you leave a like and a rating and a review, and you share it, all that good stuff. And hopefully we can grow this thing and get the numbers to go up even more than they are. They are, like I said,
Steadily rising.
Steadily rising. So maybe it'll get to a point where we can start to do things and
That'd be fun.
and you know, do stuff for the audience and whatnot. So yeah, if we said anything that you disagree with or anything that we were wrong about, make sure you let us know. You can send us a message on Facebook, which is probably going to be the best way to reach us, or you can email us at thickboypodcast@gmail.com, and we will read out the correction on our new segment called I'm Sorry. Can we call it a new? It's not really a new segment anymore. It's just part of it. It's a segment that we have.
It's a segment that we do.
It's a segment that we have segments now, everybody.
Yeah, look at that.
We have 2 segments. We have Super Cringe Thursday and I'm Sorry.
Yep.
It's almost like we're a real podcast.
Look at that. Look at that. We just have to wait for like our first ad read. It's probably for like Uncle Fucky's Novelty House or something.
Fucky's Novelty House. Is it like novelties like dildos and stuff?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it is called Uncle Fucky's. Yeah. So do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Nope. Just the same old, you know what to do. Like the podcast, leave a review, all that good stuff. It does help the podcast grow. It helps with the algorithm so that we can reach more people. And then like Gary said, as we do that and the podcast continues to grow, then we can start maybe bring on some guests or just do some different stuff. Take the podcast in an upward and onward direction.
Upward trajectory.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking for. Well, all right, everybody, that's the podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
Look at that big ass. Look at that big juicy booty.